because a lot of me wants to fight and make it better for others. A lot of me wants to help others. Can't stop myself. And then there's another part of me that makes sure I'm going to experience as much of what I love to do as possible. So that's the conflict for me. And that's probably why I normally slip off into discovering truth, you know, and then sharing it so that people can do with it what they want or leave it. I guess I could just possibly keep going, live and lead by example, encourage people and help people when I can. Right? And if a great big buck went behind me, too bad there wasn't a speaker for you guys to tell me, but anyway, I got to get moving. I'm absolutely soaked through. Not good. So, it's Friday the 13th too. So if I actually had some kind of a freaky weird accident, I wouldn't last too long. Although I do have a lighter, always, but anyway. As soon as I get to this point, if I'm wet, every step I take is absolutely deliberate. Because I'm by myself all the time, right? 99% of the time out here I'm by myself. And one more quick note I'll throw in here. Yesterday, I was at the top of the mountain, and you can see what the ground's like. I'm looking everywhere. I'm like, where the hell did my arrows go from the other day, a few days back? I had that unfortunate moment. And I'm sitting just like this. I'll share the video up here. I'm sitting here for about 20 minutes just sitting watching down the mountain. And I look right beside me, and boom, one of my arrows is in the tree right beside me. I just about fell over backwards. 20 minutes I sat there like this, that arrow right beside me. I unscrewed the tip, then pulled the arrow out. But you imagine not seeing that sucker, and if I fell on it, you know, like down your arm or something, or your armpit where that artery is? Not good. So I'm glad I found that one. I know the other ones went into the ground. I'm glad I found that one. Share my story, howtohunt.com. Make sure you get your truth out, all right? What else? Christmas. Don't forget, I'm going live on Christmas Day. For all of those who think they're by themselves, I'm going to show you that you're not. We're going to hang out on Christmas live, all right? Just so you know. Be there, be square. And what else? As soon as I get home from here as well, we are going to see if we can... I told Sarah, I go, find me more hungry kids. She's like, huh? We got time. I want you to try to find me another handful before the end of this month, before we go on our holiday. So that's what we'll be doing as well when I get back. We're gonna go get a bunch of little Tommies topped right up. And add them on to our grand total. Isn't it stunning in here? All right. Here we go. Man, I cannot believe I didn't get that deer today. Crazy. I will get him. Be back later. I'm still alive. I'm back and I'm still alive. I'm in the, where am I? I'm in Whistler, British Columbia. Outside there is snow winter wonderland. And I'm ready to go home. I saw a bunch of friends, family, and went to my friend's wake. I'll tell you what, one thing I did learn, I'll pass on this real quick. When, I don't know if it's kind of echoey in here or not, I don't care, whatever, but my friend's dad, who is also a friend, we went to his, did I already talk about this yesterday maybe? The other day? But we went to his celebration of life last night. Oh my God, did he touch a lot of lives. And you know what? He was the epitome of an example of a kind man, very involved, very opinionated. If you argued with him, you'd probably lose, right? Quite the character, but he wins. In the end, he wins in my eyes, because I firmly believe when you do finally pass on, the true winners in life are the ones who possibly have the most people show up to send them off, right? And that happens, I believe, when you touch many people in the right way, have a positive effect on their lives, right? There you go. I used to know some people who used to always say, the man with the most toys in the end wins. Nope, that's what you call a loser. Trust me. All right, I'm babbling. I probably wanted to say something a little more meaningful than that, but I'm beat, I'm tired. I got up and did my typical huge hike this morning in the snow. It dumped a couple feet. Maybe I'll share a clip, maybe.
Well, things change pretty quick in the mountains of British Columbia. This is where I made my video yesterday. There wasn't any snow, and it dumped yesterday and last night. Went to my friend's celebration of life. A lot of people showed up. There was a full, huge room, big banquet room in the Fairmont Chateau in Whistler, and that's how you know you've won, right? How many people show up to say goodbye? Touched a lot of lives, that good man. Anyway, it's the last day of hunting season, my last hike up the hill. Let's go see what happens today.
So there you go. That was my final day in the woods, sort of. My final day for hunting season 2024. And obviously, if you haven't figured it out yet, I don't need to harvest something to have a successful day out in the real world, that's for sure. But anyway, I am going to get some voices heard, and then I'm going to go out and get some food. Maybe do a little late Christmas shopping too, maybe. See if there's any deals out there. Now, this is titled Another Type of Story. I'm going to make this as short as possible. Last spring, I spent time at a ranch in Washington doing a remote viewing workshop. This ranch is also well known for its sightings of lights in the sky, etc. I tend to be sensitive to certain energies, so I was honestly a bit concerned with this. What I didn't realize was the ranch was also known for Sasquatch activity. My second night there, I was camping. I woke up in sleep paralysis. This has never happened to me before. While this crazy thing was happening to me, I was able to look down at my feet, and a Bigfoot was trying to pull at my feet. I could see his face and arms and hands reaching for my feet. He didn't look mean or even frightening. He was just trying to pull my feet. I then came out of this state and I just laid there thinking, what the hell was that? I didn't feel scared, so I fell back to sleep. And I was then woke up at the break of dawn by very, very heavy footsteps running next to my tent. Right next to my tent. I felt/heard 2 steps, then nothing. It was the heaviness of the step that woke me. The ground shook. I did look around my tent later in the morning and found nothing. I still do not feel scared. I simply find it all very interesting it happened to me. I did talk with someone about this experience, and his take on it is very interesting. He's seen many Sasquatch and has good information to share. Thank you for all you are doing. Your stories are quite mesmerizing. Thanks for taking the time to read this. Share if you want, Cindy. Wow. Interesting to hear your description of what you saw. A lot of people are going to be quite interested to hear what your description of what you saw is, probably. And it's odd, you're not the first one to email in about that similar experience. Being pulled out of a tent, dragged in a sleeping bag, dragged in a tent, or picked up and carried over the back of something like that Albert Ospin had happened to him in British Columbia years ago. Very interesting. Kind of alarming. And thanks for sending that email in. Many of you may be asking, why I'm not filming in the woods today, but I was so soaked with sweat today, and there's no way I would have been able to sit there and do this without freezing to death at the end of my day. So, what am I doing back there? I just read that. This one is titled Possible Introduction to a Sasquatch. Oh wow, this is from Scott Carpenter again. Crazy, isn't it?
This is obviously the older folders. I'll read that again. Possible Introduction to a Sasquatch from Scott Carpenter. Steve, for sure you're watching. Sorry. Steve, for sure you are being watched and they know where you live. They are watchers. They spend a lot of time just watching and observing. Keep an eye on your horses. Check their manes and tails for odd braids. I know horses can rub and scratch and that looks like a braid, but if you start noticing more complicated braiding, then most likely the Sasquatch are visiting the horses and braiding their manes. The signs of their presence will be subtle. I've seen that examples of mane braiding, and I've had all my horses and all the horses I've worked with over the years. It's just a natural thing, which I've seen firsthand how they get their manes messed up. But I'm not on board with the Sasquatch braiding manes on horses thing yet myself. No big deal. I'm just not. Okay, you ask, is there a group that can dispatch the rogues, meaning the bad Sasquatch? The U.S. government is aware of them and does step in when necessary. I gotta have some proof. We've been contacted twice by the children of deceased Special Forces people, Green Berets, in both cases. One family was from Texas, the other from North Carolina. They contacted us a couple years apart, but both told us a very similar story. Oh, this is getting interesting. A plane. Of course, a plane. They contacted us a couple years apart, but both told us a very similar story. When their former Green Beret fathers were close to death, they told their children about the missions they conducted in the continental United States. They expressed they were sworn to secrecy. I would not violate their oath, but wanted their children to know what was going on, and once they passed, they could tell others. Basically, the story goes like this. A group of Sasquatch go rogue and turn to cannibalism. The local law enforcement finds the remains of devoured bodies. Literally just piles of crushed human bones with the marrow missing. The Sasquatch literally eat all of the body, then break the bones open for the marrow. So the local law enforcement figures they have a serial killer and calls in the FBI for help. The FBI arrives on the scene, realizes what is going on, and makes a call. That team of special operations is dispatched to locate, using infrared, the clan, and dispatch the rogue group. They kill them all, even the young, collect the bodies, and leave the area. The FBI makes up a cover story that it was a cult or a serial killer, pins it on a patsy, case closed. The Sasquatch are hard to kill. This is going to sound crazy, but their wounds heal extremely fast. Shooting one in the body will not kill it, but just piss it off. The only way to kill them is to cut their heads off or blow their heads off. So if you ever have to engage one, shoot it in the head multiple times. I've heard that a few times. Also, one of their rules is never show yourself to a man. So if you ever have one step out in front of you and just stand there, then he is distracting you, and something's going on behind you. Usually he is distracting you so his family group can slip away while you're staring at them. Then he steps out of the way. Anytime one is making a loud display, mock charge, tearing up the woods, it's a distraction. They never travel alone. The lone one is rare. You may only see or hear one, but there are others around. In my experience, I would never ever shoot one that just steps out or is raising hell. It's just distracting you. It would have to charge before I would shoot, but I've never been openly charged or heard of anyone that has been openly charged. The only time I was bluff charged was when the Sasquatch was in heavy cover. It came crashing toward me, but stopped the charge right before breaking cover. Then, nothing but complete silence. I never saw it, just heard it. I'm just going to be honest with you. If they want you, they will take you. They're so fast that you would never get your gun up. If you see them, it's because they want you to see them. I've seen them move, and it's so fast it's hard to comprehend. It's not like busting a deer where they blow up and you can watch them run off. The Sasquatch get up to full speed instantly. It's like watching a movie where the subject is sped up super fast. like they are shot out of a gun. They can run on all fours or upright. Steve, you will need to trust your gut on this. You know when they are around, you can feel it. If you're feeling that feeling, then that something is wrong, it's just not right, then leave the area. That's my best advice. Once I went hunting, beautiful morning, a rare, fresh eastern Tennessee snow. I could not wait to get to the woods. Tracking would be easy in this snow. But I pulled into my parking spot, started to get out of the truck, and it hit me. Something was wrong. Very, very wrong. I could not shake it off. I knew something very bad would happen if I went into the woods. So I got back to my truck and I went home. I think you know that feeling. So my best advice is to trust your gut. If you get that feeling, get out of the area. In my opinion, you can only avoid the confrontation, not stop it once it's too late. I hope that makes sense. I think you'll understand. I think 99.9% of the time, they want to avoid direct contact and confrontation with us. I think what you're doing, talking to them and letting them know, I will let you be and you let me be, is the best way to handle it, along with trusting your gut to tell you when they want you to leave. There is a spiritual component to the Sasquatch. Your native friends know that, and if you ever find yourself in a situation with the Sasquatch with no way out, that would be the wise time to say your first prayer. The results may surprise you. Hope this information was helpful and I answered your questions. Feel free to email me anytime if you want or call me. Enjoy your upcoming hunt and be safe, Scott. There you go. Yeah, I think I've been in tune with my gut for a long time. Already on board. There you go. Rest in peace, Scott. I'm sure you're listening to us. There you go. There's another email from Scott that had not been read. And I got a lot, I believe. All right, this is titled, Thank You and Small Story. Hello, Steve. My name is Randall. I'm a disabled vet. I don't get outdoors very often, and I wanted to thank you for all your videos. I watch every one. They give me a chance to see things I know I will never see. That's unfortunate, but I'm happy that you get to see that and appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. When I was a child, we lived in a small house on the edge of the woods with a small 2-lane highway out front. One evening, maybe 10 p.m. or so, something came into our backyard and rummaged through our trash. We weren't sure what it was or what caused it to scream. But when it screamed, our whole house shook. That would be kind of terrifying. Something screams loud enough to make the whole house shake. It terrified us. My father went and got the only rifle in the house, a .22, and just sat quietly in the living room, never looking outside. When the shadow of the thing went past the window, it was huge. I understand if you don't tell my story, it's not much. It happened in 1972 in Oklahoma. I'm not much good at telling stories, and frankly, I've been trying to forget that sound my whole life. Thank you again for videos. I love them all. Randall. Randall? I appreciate you sending that in, man. Absolutely. Absolutely worthy of our time. And welcome to the club. And I hope you have a great Christmas. All right, this next email is titled Sasquatch with a Juvenile Sighting in Minnesota. I've never had an encounter, but 3 people I know tell me they have. Here is the tale of one of my closest friends relayed to me. It's his tale, not mine. He is a friend I trust with my family's lives, period. He was 19 and with another mutual pal who will not discuss it to this day. Roughly 1992 or so. In his words, we were riding the ATV back out after a day of fishing at a little bush lake. Now we came to a meadow at the edge of some pines. I looked up the hillside and there was a 7 to 8 foot tall thing walking out of the tree line down the hillside. It was about 80 yards away. In amazement, we stopped and watched it walk. It moved swiftly down the hill with a smaller 4 to 5 foot tall child following 10 to 15 feet behind it. We watched it walk across the meadow and disappear into the woods with its little one following. It kept glancing our way, but never panicked or fled. It just kept walking at about a human jogging pace. Neither of us felt scared, just uneasy. Huh. Like I said, I trust this man with my family's lives. He told me this story, and I did not and do not doubt him. He said it was brown, upright, and walked with a smooth, powerful stride. It effortlessly traversed some ditches and downed trees that a person would have to stop and exert some effort to cross. The little one followed in a similarly effortless manner. What the hell? He estimated it to be 300 to 400 pounds, and the small one to be about 100, 150, and a lot more lean and lanky, like an awkward 12-year-old boy. LOL. Location, northern Minnesota. His encounter is the only one I've heard about or read that involved an apparent juvenile. I don't think these beings are a threat to us at all. There are too many encounters with no attacks. They're not looking for trouble. Tim. All right, there you go. Another club member. We've had a few people email in and tell us their friends' stories on here. And another person that doesn't think they'll harm us. I guess I'd probably comment on Scott's email. You know, with the FBI, whoever killing the rogue ones, they keep finding human bodies stacked up with the marrow missing out of the bones, etc. It's a tough sell to me. It's only a tough sell to me because of the time I spend in the woods, the time I spend, the miles of woods, you know, all across this province and more, which also means that I know a lot of people that spend just as much time in the woods all their lives, and I have not heard of something like that ever. Not yet. And I have absolutely never heard of or seen any kind of law enforcement, dark vehicles doing weird things in the woods. Not yet. One time I ran into a cop, RCMP car, and he's broken down in Logan Road. We came upon him, he's sitting there, it's getting dark, and I go, what are you doing? He goes, I already got help coming. I go, you sure you're going to be all right? You need a ride in town? He goes, no, I'm sitting here with a shotgun. He's sitting inside his cop car, or SUV, whatever it is, with a shotgun. Wonder what he was scared of. Anyway, enough babbling. Let's get some people heard. This is titled A Woman's Story. Looks like a long one. I'm going in. A woman's story. I'm a 50-year-old woman solo hiker rock hound. The range that I know extensively is all of Arizona and parts of New Mexico. The forested mountains in this region are basically islands surrounded by desert. The food and water sources are shared on these islands by cattle ranchers, hunters, game, and outdoor enthusiasts. I've known about the Sasquatch for many years. I followed their trail systems during the daytime. Oh. These trails have shown me water sources, berry patches, solid day-long shaded areas that I didn't know about. I've seen scat prints, tons of tree signage. I've become so conditioned to these beings being real and living among us that they are just another animal that I coexist with. Being a woman, you are raised as a weaker species. What? A weaker species? Come on. So we don't tend to have the same reaction as men when faced with a stronger, more powerful presence than us. In fact, women will love horses or animals larger than them. I'm one of these large animal lovers. The idea of seeing a 10-foot tall Sasquatch is no different than seeing an elephant up close or riding a draft horse. I'd like to share two stories of interaction that I've had with the Sasquatch. Let me say first that I view them as an intelligent, no-nonsense, self-preserving species. I recognize that I am not, nor never will be, allowed to be close or accepted by them. Like trying to befriend a mad of ravens, you will lose. Must have been a typo there. I know they stay hidden in daytime, so I use this time to traverse their trail systems. I think that if I do come in close proximity to them in daytime, they have no need to react. They know I'm harmless and that I know they are there. My first experiment with trying to communicate with them was by placing small stick patterns under a teepee-shaped tree structure. I made a 7-pointed star with small sticks about 6 inches long. I chose the sticks that had no bark and were blanched white. I returned a week later and the star had been scattered. I made another stick pattern that included an arch that came up off the ground. I returned a week later, and that had also been scattered. I tried a new idea and placed 4 sticks, same size, same color, tight together, pressed into the moss, like a stick mat, mini-sized. I returned a week later, and that group of sticks had been gathered into a bundle with a green twig wrapped around them and set outside of the teepee ring. That following season, the teepee had been dismantled. What did it mean? I don't know. All I know is they responded to the sticks in that pattern, different than the other patterns. Did they know it was me and not one of their own? Did they do it to finally give me a correspondence? That's wishful thinking. I didn't continue that experiment once I had that response. I felt somehow satisfied. My second story happened in the heat of summer. Even at 10,000 feet, it was over 90 degrees. I was in the forest, following one of the trail systems, when I came across a marsh clearing. I noticed that a large patch of marsh grass was smashed down. The soil was wet with a seeping spring that covered the majority of the clearing. I stood staring at this big wet marsh grass bed and knew it wasn't an elk bed, easily 12 by 12 feet around. I was debating whether or not to cross the marsh and climb the ridge on the other side. My shoes would have gotten wet from going directly through it. As I stood contemplating, I heard a woodpecker rap coming from that ridge, then another rap just 100 feet north on that same ridge. And let me say that I love music, and I am an excellent dancer. Musicians and DJs have been my weakness. The rap beat pattern rhythm of the woodpeckers was not the normal pattern a woodpecker would use. It had breaks and timing set to it, yet not of a 4/8/12 beat rhythm, more of an odd count, 3/5/7, like Morse code. Quickly my mind recognized that these weren't woodpeckers. On that I had trailed them right up to where they were. They were signaling my presence, or they were signaling their presence. I decided to join the jam by clapping my hands in a pattern. One would knock, then I would clap. Then the other would knock. We all took turns, careful not to knock or clap over one another, until each had finished. It was an intelligent exchange that continued for about 2 minutes. Then, from behind them, from higher up, came a large, loud squirrel alert call. Only one. All knocking ceased, all went quiet. I stood waiting to see what would happen next. Only sounds of twigs snapping, as though large game were headed to the ridgetop. People can believe what they want to. I know you get mostly stories from men in the wilderness. I figured a story from a woman would be refreshing. Like you have said before, it's not a matter of if they exist, it's a matter of why the general public is being lied to about their existence. That is the mystery, which personally I think is because it leads to many more lies they have told us, just like a can of worms. Without a doubt. Thank you for all your time and effort you put into sharing with us. I've learned a lot about animal behavior from your stories, especially the moose and the bear. And P.S. I've used mirrors to watch ravens. It's the only way to block the psychic link. Elizabeth Pryor. Interesting, Elizabeth. Sounds like you're rocking it out in this lifetime. Very interesting. Once they know you know, shit starts to happen, right? Especially if you pursue it. What the hell? Here's another one. Did I read this? Weird. There's another one from Scott. Okay, quick mention of the last email too. Sorry. My brain seems to react slowly. A lot of women see these beings. A lot. It's equal across the board. Doesn't matter what color, what gender, what age. No difference. Just making that note. The nature of the Sasquatch. Steve, after your last post, which was great by the way, I thought I would share what I have learned through experience and interaction with the Sasquatch. This is what I have found in my experiences with them. So others may report behaviors that conflict, etc. But based on the information and experiences to date, the following is what I think the Sasquatch is and what its nature is. I may be repeating some of what I have already told you, but this is a more comprehensive list. Here we go. They are the descendants of the race called the Nephilim. The Nephilim are hybridization between a human female and a fallen angel. The lineage makes them a unique being. They are both physical being and supernatural being. They have supernatural abilities. They were genetically passed down by their fallen angel fathers. The extent of these supernatural abilities depends on their genetic purity. Number 2, the Sasquatch have free will. Number 3, the Sasquatch is more intelligent than the average human. The Sasquatch is more intelligent on average than humans. Number 4, the Sasquatch are unique individuals with moods, feelings, needs, wants, and desires. There are evil ones, good ones, those who just want to be left alone, those who are more aggressive, those who do evil to humans, and those who do good. Number 5, they follow a strict set of rules that govern how they interact with humans, along with how they live. There are times they break the rules, but in general, the rules are always followed. Who made the rules and who enforces the rules? That's the million-dollar question. Number 6, the Sasquatch have and do take both men and women for mates. They can procreate with humans. This practice dilutes the genome and can reduce the supernatural abilities of the resulting offspring. This also causes them in some areas to take on an extremely human look in the face. Number 7, the Sasquatch have genetic diversity. They have a variety of hair and skin color. Some look very human in the face, while others look ape-ish or grotesque, with a heavy brow, deep-set eyes, thick lower jaw, wide mouth, dark eyes with no or very little sclera showing. Number 8, Sasquatch do go rogue, and clans or groups will cannibalize humans. It's rare, but it does happen. There can be a sexually deviant component to a Sasquatch encounter. In many cases where they show themselves to a lone woman, they are sexually aroused and obviously displaying this for the woman. Creepy. Dave's, per statistical research, most full-bodied daytime sightings are by women, around 90%. Dave also found that these women, 80% were on their menstrual cycle when the encounter occurred. They've proven that women are more likely to be attacked by natural predators during that time. Wolves, bears, cats. Number 11, the Sasquatch live in family groups that make up large blood-related clans. They rarely travel alone, and if you encounter one, most likely there are others around. Number 12, the Sasquatch can understand English and other languages. They have a unique language of their own. They understand sign language, and they sometimes speak a dialect that consists of the local language spoken in the area they live. Number 13, the Sasquatch speak on both the inhale and exhale, so they talk extremely fast. The Sasquatch can mind speak, also known as telepathy. Those who've experienced it describe it as, they are talking in my head. Those who allow this form of communication can have back and forth conversations with them. 15, the Sasquatch rarely talk verbally to humans. 16, the Sasquatch can be deceptive and hide their true motives. In cases where I was able to have habituators ask them questions, I received a diverse set of answers to the same question from multiple Sasquatch individuals. One example question is I always have the person ask them, quote, "You or what are you?" end quote. I've received the following answers. We are the sky people. We are the descendants of Cain. We are the descendants of the Edomites. Edomites. We are the keepers of the forest. We are your brothers. With this diversity of responses, I find it hard to trust them. Number 17, actively seeking direct contact or an experience with the Sasquatch gives them permission to interact with the individual. This includes following the individual to their home and interacting on the Sasquatch's terms. Number 18, if one engages with the Sasquatch, in most cases after a couple of years of continued interaction, one will begin to encounter other cryptid creatures, entities, and possible supernatural occurrences that seem totally unrelated to the Sasquatch. There are several government agencies that are aware of the Sasquatch's existence, to include military, DARPA, FBI, CIA, Department of the Interior, and National Park Service. They assist in suppressing the knowledge of the Sasquatch existence. Each agency appears to have their own motives, from super soldier research to loss of revenue for the Park Service if their existence is widely known. The Sasquatch do respond to commands and directives made in the name of Jesus. This is known as rebuking. It has been successfully used to stop direct interaction and disturbing visitations to people's homes/property. I've used it, and I have several examples where other individuals across the country have successfully used it when the normal means of dissuading them fail. Hope this helps you as you build your list of what they are and how to deal with them. Scott. There you go. Nothing overly new there, right? Take from what you will or leave it. What do we got here? Here we go. Mark this as bread. I'm sure there'll be more from Scott. He used to email the living shit out of me. Non-stop. Almost like he emailed me once or twice or 3 times after every single video I put online. This is titled Bigfoot. You have permission to use my name and tell my story. All right. What's your name? Morgan Short. Hey Steve, my name is Morgan Short, and just in case, I am a man. Haha. I grew up and still live in central British Columbia, 45 minutes outside of the small town of Burns Lake, on my family's ranch on Collymount, next to Francois Lake. I'm only 23, but I've had so many encounters and seen so much sign on my ranch of over 3,000 acres. I think there's at least 3 living on the land that stay in a group, but I will start with the first time. I won't go into full detail, but here it is. Wow, here we go. Thing's still recording, yeah. When I was 4, I pretended to be asleep so I didn't have to pack groceries into the house. And I was left in our car by myself, but fell asleep anyway. When I woke up and looked around, I saw this jet black thing walking across the lawn, and I wanted a better look. So I slowly opened the door and kneeled behind the tire of the car. As the door closed, it froze for what felt like 10 minutes. Then it ran off. I waited a little bit and then ran inside. The next day I went over to where it was standing and found depressions in the ground about 1 inch deep and 15 inches long. About 8 or 9 years ago, I was out looking for Bigfoot with a buddy of mine and drove over to the gate to the ranch. I would call for 5 minutes and then sit in the truck and warm up because it was in the middle of winter. And after 20 minutes, I heard something walking through the snow. I grabbed the spotlight, and then I saw something peek out from behind a tree, and we drove away as fast as we could. The next day, after I was done feeding the cows, I went over to the tree that it was standing behind, and the branch that was just above it was 9.5 to 10 feet up the tree. The most recent one was 3 to 4 years ago, after we had a fire in an old rundown barn about half a kilometer away from my house. We moved a bunch of stuff because we felt uneasy, so blocked the doors. We stayed there for a few hours and then only opened one door way out of 3. Couple typos maybe. Not but 10 minutes later, I was having a smoke on my deck with a buddy, and we started hearing howling. We both said wolves, but then we both started listening more closely, and we realized that it was about 3 Bigfoot, and they sounded mad. The howling was coming from the old barn, and it went on for about 10 to 15 minutes. We haven't been back to the barn since. There was 3 out of a bunch of stories I have. Yours truly, Morgan Short. P.S. I love all the stories you tell, Bigfoot or other. I love the channel. Keep it up. Okay, man. Appreciate you, Morgan. Right in the backyard again. If you're still hanging out here, Morgan, throw down some more. All right? I want to hear it all. If you can, I want to hear it all. All right? Don't hold back. Appreciate you, man. Right across the lawn. Oh, this is weird. They put a quick note in the title part, I think. I don't know. We'll see. Here we go. I've never been a believer in the supernatural, and I guess that's what I considered the beings you were talking about. Approximately 6 years ago, I was out elk hunting in the East Kootenays. I was in my truck and was leaving, but stopped to glass across a wide open flat. What I heard, I'll never forget. It was the most ungodly screaming possible. I was tempted to go and have a look, but it was almost dark. Thought possibly a cougar, but being honest with myself, I can't really buy that. Just thought I would share that with you. Thanks for listening. Okay. Short, straight to the point, but if it was, you heard a sound in the woods that knee-jerked you into emailing me through YouTube about it, that's a substantial sound, right? You already know what it was. You know what it was. Helicopter. This next one's titled Beings. Sorry, I sent to the wrong one last time. All right, no problem. Please pray for our country and each other. Steve, thank you for your honesty, the honesty of your YouTube channel. I wish your no bullshit approach was practiced by more individuals in the public eye. I grew up in northern Utah, and my dad was a law enforcement officer there. I spent all my time hiking, hunting, and exploring almost all of Logan Canyon. And I have seen and heard things that made me believe in these beings since I was a teenager. My dad has seen tracks in the snow going all the way up a ridgeline. So then he knew, and therefore I knew. But like so many others, he could never talk about it for fear of repercussion, both monetary and personal. Now he's almost 80, and I'm almost 60, and on oxygen. Because of this, I can hike slowly for a couple hours, but he can't. We've not seen one, but wish we could. Just like those who have seen one wish they didn't. We make fun of the TV shows too, and are hungry for more honest information on the subject, and look forward to your videos. Excuse me. Right now I live in Carson City, Nevada, and there are videos of screams above Tahoe, but no place I can hike to get away from people and have a chance to see one. They've been seen by Mono Lake, and we have thought of looking around the Pinyon Pine in that area now that the nuts are in season. Any suggestions what to look for to narrow our search? Whether the game, food, and water sources are key. Not knowing about their eating habits, it makes it harder. It's not cold enough to focus on south-facing slopes, etc. Any tips would be appreciated. God knows you don't want all of us crushing the Duffy Highway and hiking in your backyard to look for them to find us. We thank you for your time, both reading this and filming to share with us all. And like others, we'd really enjoy helping with your project in any way we can. I know I ramble, my thoughts get way ahead of my typing skills, and this is the longest thing I've written since my wife was at Army boot camp. I've used real names because I trust you. All right, man, appreciate that, the kind words. And I'm not the guy to try to give tips on having an experience with these beings. I'm just not. And if you're gonna go about it like it's a game animal, well, that's up to you. You know, you're gonna go through life any way you want, but all I can say is you're not dealing with wildlife, okay? You're not dealing with an animal who needs south-facing slopes. You're not dealing with an animal that needs to go hit the river during spawning season, although I'm sure they do. Well, they do when they're here, right? When they're here. But I will say, you are not dealing with an animal. Now, I don't have tips for having an experience. I'm not that guy. Not that guy. I'm sure you can probably figure it out after hearing from all the people, though, right? I have challenged a handful of people in the past that have somewhat mocked me in a way and told them flat out, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll take you over here, over there, and no weapon, you got to spend the night by yourself. And 100% of them don't want to. Or also, so far, I've said to people in the past, I know where they are. If you want me to take you there, let's go. And they don't want to go. That's about it for me trying to get an encounter to happen. for someone. I think this title, Sasquatch. Hi, Steve. Thanks very much for your informative YouTube talks on Sasquatch. On 3 different occasions, acquaintances told me they saw something from a distance and seriously wondered about Sasquatch. A 4th person told me on the phone that he saw 2 Sasquatch, a parent and a child, drinking from a pond as he drove the Coquihalla Highway between Merritt and Kamloops. Yeah, that guy, I think he lived in Merritt, that guy. Personally, I've never had an encounter, but I'm absolutely convinced these creatures exist. I've read extensively on the topic and once spoke on the phone with the late Dr. Bindernagel. So many credible witnesses over so many years. Must be telling the truth. And of course, the First Nations have their own stories going back generations. Your own 2 personal encounters and others' encounters that you relay to us are equally compelling. In a couple of talks, you said you were being kept in the dark about the origin of these creatures. I don't doubt you since. For example, authorities continue to withhold information about UFOs. However, I have 2 related questions. Number 1, is it possible that no one, not even governments or the powers that be, knows about the origin of Sasquatch? Number 2, why are you so certain that someone out there already possesses this information? Thanks again for your great videos. I find them extremely authentic as well as entertaining. Keep up the great work. Please get back to me when you get a chance. Terry in Kamloops. All right, Terry. Is it possible that no one, the powers that be? No, I do not believe at all. Not for a second. Because the scumbags at B are the ones trying to withhold the information. Right? And if they weren't trying to withhold the information, then children would be taught about this topic in school. So, yes, they know. Sorry. Why are you so certain that someone out there already possesses this information? That's my same answer as the first one. Because they're preventing us from having it. That's why. Because the mainstream news or information or education outlets are governed to keep us in the dark, not only about this topic, but about many other topics. Right? I think there's probably a lot of people out there that think I might be a little extreme or rednecky when I'm talking about the public school system. Mark my words. It's a program. That whole thing is a sham. Sorry. Shoot the messenger. I still stand behind those words. Right? So. Why? Why are they keeping the truth from us? Right? Because the truth is being intentionally kept from the majority of the public. Us. All us little worker bees, right? Now the UFO thing, obviously right now, mainstream is cluttered up with drones. There's huge drones and crazy lights in the sky. Over big cities right now in North America, around the world allegedly, and I'm getting a whole bunch of emails and messages. What do you think? What do you think? Here's what I think about that. Nothing. I don't think anything about it. Why? Because it's man-made. Well, I can't dictate that, but I will say with absolute confidence, this is just a man-made pile of dog shit delivered to all of us, or you. So there you go. That's all the time I have on that topic, all right? Oh, but that reminds me, though. I came across a video today. I don't know who this guy is. Hold on a minute, you guys. I have a feeling I could talk to this guy for a couple days. I don't know the name of his channel or him. But give me a minute. Let me look in the history of my... All right, I don't know this man, but looking at his eyes, listening to his delivery and the words he has to share, I believe this guy to be absolutely legit. His name is Chase Hughes, and this is the video that I listened to. All right? Now, why would I recommend you listen to this guy? It's not to listen to him about the drone or UFO topic. All right? But I absolutely encourage all of you just to listen to that one video and listen to what he has to share with you for knowledge, to encourage you on how to carry yourself through this shit show of life and what to look for, what to listen to when it comes to news and actual events going on in the world or your community. All right? It's very, very important knowledge this man has to share. Oh, what did I do? Hold on a minute. Damn commercials. There's nothing you can do about commercials, by the way. Nothing on this on the YouTube thing. Hold on a minute. Man, hitting the wrong button, I'll tell you what. There you go, one more time. All right. Seems to be a very credible guy, and the words that he shares in that video, I believe, can be very valuable to a lot of people out there, all right? Now, what am I doing? I gotta get going. My tummy's saying to go get some food. Maybe I'll get some shopping done. And what else? I made a mention of getting peed on by a bear in my past, and I got swamped. You can't leave us hanging like that. I'm like, come on. I shared that story. I guess it's years ago now. I don't know. Time's flying. But I'll share it right now real quick. So my old place just up the valley here, in the fall, and there's a river out back. Sometimes you get bears. They come on the porch. They try to get the horse feed, or they're going to go for the smell and the barbecue, whatever they're doing. And I would hear them right outside my bedroom window. And I have another video footage of a bear on my porch one night that I went and chased off. Maybe I'll add that if I can find it. And I had an older compound bow, and I unscrewed the tip off of the arrow, and I put a .243 empty casing rifle shell over top of the arrow and taped it on just for this purpose. And I come on the porch, there's this big bear walking toward me on like the length of the porch, length of the house. Didn't even skip a beat, didn't even give a shit about me. I'm like, what? I had the bow right there inside the door. I got the bow, stepped out on the porch, and I shot him with a compound bow, and it hit him square right there. I mean, right there in the teeth. And he absorbed all of the energy from that arrow. Oh, crack! It just fell straight down onto the porch. It didn't ricochet off. He took it all. And he ran to the edge of the porch, and then he ran up a huge maple tree at the corner of my porch in the driveway. So I'm in my underwear because I was in bed, and I got a headlamp on, and I grabbed the arrow again, and I wanted to keep shooting him. I wanted him to think that he was in the biggest, baddest monster's lair, and you'll never come back. So he went up the tree about, I don't know, 20 feet or something. Yeah, probably 20 feet. And I kept on shooting him in the ass. I didn't know where I was hitting him, in the ass and the ribs with that arrow. So smack him, then it'd fall back down. I'd pick it up, all right up. Got it. I shoot him again. And he's like, wow. He's yelling every time I shot him. And then I grabbed the arrow on the bow and I went back in the house. I went back to bed. And then I'm thinking, well, he's probably going to be up there for quite a while. The tree's right outside my bedroom window. And then all of a sudden you could hear the sucker coming down the bark, right? I'm like, what? You're confident enough to come down that tree already? No. Somebody really, really bad lives here. You got to be really scared. More scared than that. So I grabbed my bow and the arrow and I went back out there and I shot him again. Sent him up the tree and I shot him again. And then I went to go get my arrow off the ground, and this huge rain of bear piss came down and covered me. Oh my God. I'll tell you what. I mean, all urine stinks, but that urine piss that coated me in my underwear was a special kind of scent. I'll tell you what, it was humming. I was so grossed out. It's just like, oh my God. Obviously, straight into the house I went, into the shower, but there you go. I may be possibly one of the only living human beings to tell the story of the time they got peed on by a large bear while only in their underwear, and survived to share the story with you guys.